Hey everybody, welcome back to MPA's website, Facebook page. But welcome to our first and final legislative briefing for this legislative session. The 2021 session gavelled out about 2 Fridays ago, May 14th, in a way that was unexpected from the beginning, but at the end of the day, session ended. There can no longer be any business done from the Senate or the House. They don't officially sine die until the end of this month, but due to our Constitution, how everything works, we're not allowed to pass any bills from May 14th. So with that being said, we kind of wanted to give you guys an update as to how everything proceeded and also give a brief overview as to how session actually started. This legislative session was different from many others, all due to COVID-19. We were trying to figure out how to navigate in a pandemic era. You could see that the Senate and the House were trying to navigate in ways that were protective of the staff, protective of the legislators, and also protective of the public. And even with this, we were able to get some legislation done. But in part of all of this, we kind of wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you. Session at the end started becoming a little more normal. You saw people walking around more freely without a mask, as long as everybody felt as though they were vaccinated. And those vaccinations, majority of them came from our pharmacists, and we'd like to say thank you for that. And that actually leads into the first topic, which is the COVID-19 vaccine. This year, we tried to pass a bill, language that allows pharmacists to administer the COVID-19 vaccine with and without a protocol. There were some different versions out there, but ultimately that did fail, not in part of any opposition, but due to the way that session ended. The Senate, our language was on two different House and Senate bills, and these bills contain provisions that allowed pharmacists to administer the vaccines. But due to no healthcare bills passing this legislative session, it ultimately did fail. But that is something we're looking forward to next year. But as long as the emergency order and standing orders stay in place, we'll be just fine, and pharmacists will continue to be able to administer these vaccinations. And Michaela, I think you guys have had a large hand in how everything works. So.
Yeah, and I don't think that this is a cause for panic or worry about being able to administer the COVID vaccines at this time. MPA will continue to work on emergency standing orders and protocols with the state, and the relationship with the state. I just want to thank them for that organization and that relationship. I think as long as we have this emergency order going forward, we will be okay.
Yeah. By the way, I may have forgot to introduce myself at the beginning. I'm Henrio Thelemaque. I'm the Director of Government Affairs here at the Missouri Pharmacy Association. I believe you guys know Michaela far more than you know me. That's for good reasons. She does all the work. I'm in the background trying to figure things out. But with that, I kind of wanted to talk about a new piece that's been added to the pharmacist scope, which is HIV PEP dispensing. This bill was brought forth by Senator Razor, who was a former representative last year, and Representative Krista Finelli, who also filed an HIV PEP and PrEP bill. There were some concerns about PrEP, and that is something that both Senator Razor and Representative Krista Finelli would like to see next year worked on. But we do have good news, that is, the pharmacists will be able to dispense the HIV medications under a protocol or standing order with a physician. This is new. We're one of the few states that actually allow this. I know California was the model state, and various other associations were working on this, but we are one of the first, if not the second state to actually pass this. But I do know we're one of the first states to try and maneuver this around. It does say dispense. There's no prescriptive authority, but that a standing order, I believe, will assuage all those concerns. If I'm Michaela, you can give more in depth on that one.
Yeah, I think that this is a good first step. As Henrio mentioned, the senator and representative plan to continue to move this forward in coming sessions. I think the biggest thing that this does is open doors for conversation with your protocol doctor. If you were wanting to start dispensing HIV PEP more often, that now you have language you can refer to. in the state statute and talk to your protocol doctor if that's something you're interested in. So I think this will open many doors for the future and now.
And actually, when we're talking about the future, something that, has been worked on for several years, the prescription drug monitoring program for the first time, not for the first time, but Missouri was the only state without one. I believe Guam and Puerto Rico have one, right? Yes. So we're the only state and or territory without a PDMP, and in a sudden way, it passed. Senator Holly Rader, who was a representative, carried and championed this piece of legislation all throughout her tenure in the House, and then in her first year in the Senate, she actually passes this. We did work with her. I know a few pharmacists made calls, but not a few, but several of our members made calls to their senators and their representatives saying, please support the PDMP, and thank you for all of that. We worked with Senator Rader last year on the compromise language, which does create a board. It does have some real time later on, not this year, but in a few years, real time, which if that can't be worked out, there's always ways to alleviate those concerns. But this is something that Senator Rader has supported. This is something that MPA has supported for a very long time. All provider groups have supported it, and it has passed. It's at the governor's desk. He's just waiting to sign it. We're waiting to see when he signs it. But this is a win for all of healthcare in Missouri. Even though St. Louis County did have a PDMP program, this now creates fundamentally the statewide PDMP program under a board that will work with a vendor and everything else. So we're excited. We're thrilled to see it and can't wait for the next steps of that one. So, and another one that starts with P, PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers. It's something we've always worked on. It's something that our members continue to tout that it's hindering their patients, it's hindering their pharmacies, and it's a pain for a lot of their patients and a pain for pharmacies as well. And so we worked on a very thorough bill that was tailored toward the protection of patients and the protection of pharmacies to ensure that patients continue to have access to their pharmacies. Representative Dale Wright championed this effort over on the House side. The bill moved through the House for the first time ever without any changes made to it, and was sent to the Senate. It was voted out, I believe, 128 to, I think, maybe 20 votes against it. It was a strong effort, and we thank you all for your calls, your support, your emails to your representatives. But on the Senate side, as I mentioned before, we did get some strong opposition from a few senators who were concerned that this may muddle the waters of government overreaching into insurance law. But one thing we've doubted is, look, the PBM is the only non-regulated entity in this entire sector. Pharmaceutical manufacturers, insurance companies, pharmacists, healthcare providers were all regulated. But the pharmacy benefit manager is one of the only entities that is not regulated in this entire sector. And a lot of them started seeing our way. Senator O'Loughlin championed and was the handler of the House bill, but with limited time, we weren't able to fully get this bill on the floor, but it was voted out of the Government Accountability and Fiscal Oversight Committee twice unanimously. Senator Lincoln Huff chairs that committee, and we had very strong support on both sides for this bill. There were a few questions about it, but that's expected. It's a very complicated topic, and we're looking forward to bringing this bill back next year, not only with a House sponsor, but with a Senate sponsor to try and get this moving a lot faster, and hopefully passing a comprehensive PBM bill next year. And Michaela, I don't know if you have anything to say about that one.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of thoughts on how it will go next year? Or just, are you planning on kind of using similar language?
So the way we went at it this year was kind of based off the Rutledge versus PCMA court case, which the Supreme Court ruled in favor of pharmacies, saying, hey, look, laws that regulate PBMs, so long as it doesn't explicitly impact ERISA and reference ERISA, then yes, you're fine, cool. That's kind of what our bill does. It doesn't explicitly reference ERISA. We're striking out a provision in law that does mention ERISA, as that is something that's bit murky because we're explicitly referencing ERISA. Are we preempted? That's a question that's come up, but by striking it out, we'll be fine. It'll have an impact on the entirety of the plans. But short answer, yes, we're using the exact same bill, potentially with stronger provisions for the PBMs. There are things passing all throughout the state, things coming to light that we want to ensure that we're targeting to ensure patients have access to their pharmacies and that the patients are protected.
I feel like this year is a really good sign for next year. I know that the PBMs were really nervous about the language MPA put up, and they were able to fly in, 20 lobbyists at a time to go in and talk to different senators. So the relationships that MPA have within that building and the education even that MPA has done over the building up to this point, I think is a good, strong foundation for next year. On a high note of PBM legislation, the Missouri Register just published the rules for PBMs being registered on May 16th, I believe. So that's really exciting. It was an MPA win a couple of years ago, and now that's coming into fruition, into practice.
Yep. The thought there was when they become registered, then the Department of Commerce and Insurance will have oversight over them. When legislation passes, then Department of Insurance, Commerce and Insurance regulate them. So that's the thought there. But, we'll come back next year with a stronger bill. Legislators have heard about it. They're continuously talking about it. So I think we're geared up for a great session next year.
The stage is set, foundation is built.
Oh, yeah. And we'll come back with some provisions from this year regarding vaccinations. There have been a few things we've worked on in the background to work against to protect your patients. They'll all be listed out in the third report that may be between 15 to 20 pages. But it'll highlight some of the key important pharmacy factors that passed this year. And we'll continue to work to ensure that, pharmacy is protected and that your voice is continuously heard in that building.
RX Cares for Missouri.
Yes, actually, I was going to mention that in the report, but the RX Cares program, the drug take-back kiosk that passed, I believe, in 2017, it did sunset this last year, and we tried to renew it last year, but due to COVID, the bill did fail. And this year, we were able to renew it. Once again, it is now back in state statute. The Board of Pharmacy will continue to work with pharmacies to ensure that they have funding to have the drug take-back kiosks within their pharmacies to aid patients that need to dispense their medication in a safe and less than haphazard way. That is a win for us. There are a few other wins that we've worked on. And like I've said, they'll probably be mentioned in the report that'll come out soon.
So Henrio, session is over, but the work isn't done. Can you tell us a little bit about what you'll be doing on behalf of MPA members kind of through the summer, fall time?
It's going to be a combination of both, meeting with our pharmacists to see what's the biggest thing that's impacting them. Outside of PBMs, of course, and scope issues. We want to know what's happening to pharmacies. What do you guys believe need to be worked on? That'll be worked with the legislative committee and brought to the board. We also are going to build our foundation of relationships with legislators. COVID did cause some of us not to be able to meet with new representatives and new senators, but that's something that we'll work on over the summer to build and foster some relationships and champions for pharmacy. I know there are several House members who do have an interest in pharmacy, and we'll try and educate them some more on it, but that is something we're looking forward to working on over the summer. And we'll also send out notices to try and have you guys meet with your representatives and state senators, try and meet with them face to face, become their resource when it comes to pharmacy issues. Is that something that continues to be needed in that building? I'm simply just a lobbyist. I understand scope, I understand policy, but when it comes to the pharmacist aspect of things, Michaela, Annie are great resources, but you guys are too. And talking to your representatives and your senators allows us to have that voice in the building to ensure that things are happening properly.
Yeah, I feel like the relationship building in the summer and the fall is what helps us pass bills during session.
Yes, and ensuring that we can continue to aid pharmacy-friendly candidates get elected, and that's through PPAC funding. That's through your donations to the Pharmacy Political Action Committee that aids us in contributing to legislators who are pharmacy-friendly, who are willing to help us in a tight spot and wanting to aid pharmacy in general. So that's something to be on the lookout for. You'll probably receive various notices on that to try and get contributions and donations there. So please be ready. It is an election year next year. It is 2022. It's an election year. We're going to need to support some pharmacy-friendly candidates in order to move our agenda forward.
Yeah, that PPAC. I can't stress how important relationship building is with your senator back home and your representative back home, but that PPAC is also important. Mentioning the PBMs being able to send 20 lobbyists in on one day from all over the country, that just the amount of resources they have. We have a leverage of relationships, but resources do matter, especially on election year. So be lookout for that PPAC from Henrio. I think it's extremely important and just a part of our being part of the pharmacy network is just considering donating to the things like that.
Yep. Yeah, with that, I don't know, Michaela, if you have anything else, but I think that's a wrap for 2021, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks for listening.